Like, people don't even think much of themselves. So how are they going to think anything good about me?
Yeah.
Whatever they think about me, that's not my business, right? That's them. That's their issues. People have their own issues, and they reflect it on you by saying things about you that they know aren't true, but it makes them feel better. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Zamas podcast, where we focus on
faith,
family,
fitness,
finances,
and friendships.
Today I'm going to be reading from the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, verses 8 through 10. And it reads, "For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith. And this is not from yourselves. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Amen.
Amen.
All right, family. So we're going to be reading 4 questions from our game, Who Are You? And there's 4 different categories. So the first one is possibilities and potential. The second one is connections. The third one is fears and insecurities. And the fourth one is self-awareness. So I'll let my bride take it away.
Thank you. Hey, y'all.
That's my bride.
Okay, so just pull one.
Okay, so.
Mix it up. Okay, pull it. Don't look though.
I'll read it or you read it?
You can read it.
Okay, it says, this one is fears and insecurities. It says, do you listen to your inner voice, or are you easily swayed by others' opinions? That's a great question.
I most definitely listen to my inner voice.
More than others' opinions?
Yeah. Like when people be talking, I'm quick to try to find a fact. Or if it's just like your opinion, because sometimes people just talk to talk.
Right.
And then some people is like, when they talk, you can tell like they researched it, they studied it. So when it comes to that, if I get a good feel on it, I'm like, okay. But regardless, I'm going to still like find out for myself. I'm not just going to go with whatever somebody said. Because most of the time, somebody can sound like they know what they're talking about.
For sure.
And don't know.
And don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I would say the same thing. I listen to my inner voice more than others' opinions. Quite frankly, I don't listen to others' opinions very much. But
yeah.
I mean, I just don't. My inner voice is much more louder. Much more louder. Much more loud.
I think it's much more loud. I don't
much
think
louder. There it goes. Much louder. I don't need the more.
Yeah.
Much louder than
then you have to get louder with it.
Yes. Much louder than others' opinions. All right. So that's fears and insecurities. All right. Next. Hold on. Let you choose.
Okay, so connections is my card. Do you make sacrifices for the people you love?
Absolutely. I make sacrifices for the people I love. I think that's a testament of your love for them.
Yeah.
Is, are you willing to sacrifice?
100%. I'm a mom.
Yeah.
So that in itself is like
a great mom.
That's an automatic. Thank you. That's an automatic sacrifice. From birthing to being pregnant to taking care of them.
That's
you
sacrifice
on a day-to-day basis.
That's a fact.
Like when you want that last fry, can I have that last fry? I give them that last fry.
See, that's a sacrifice I'm not willing to make. If it's my last fry, I mean, you got to go about your business because I'm going to need that.
You talk a big game and both the girls got you.
It's my time to speak.
Okay.
All right. So, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, it's your turn. I just asked you.
All right. So I'm going to read self-awareness. All right. It says, do you treat yourself better than others, or do you tend to put others first? Wow.
I tend to put others first.
Yeah.
Without a second thought. Like, if something happened and it's like I got to be like quick in response, I'm going to take care of that person first, and then I'm going to take care of myself.
Yeah.
But that's only if you're close family. I truly love you.
Yeah.
I can't even say that because I literally did that for a stranger today.
Yeah. I'm the opposite. So it says, do you treat yourself better than others, or do you tend to put others first? I treat myself better than I treat others, but not in the way it may sound. I prioritize me and my mental, my peace of mind, my discipline, my, preparation, I prioritize that over somebody else's feelings and somebody else's needs, because I can't help somebody else properly if I don't help myself first. So, on the airplane, they tell you that you put your oxygen mask on first before you
try
to help somebody else. Well, the same thing applies in life, right? That's a small component of that's a macrocosm of the or a microcosm of the macrocosm.
Yeah.
Right. So you help yourself first, and that way you can better be suited to help others.
Yeah. I think I want to change mine a little bit, just a little bit, because with me, I think it's a mixture of both. I think I'm able to care for other people and put other people first because I take care of myself. Now, when my cup is empty and I just don't have anything to give, then somebody literally could be sitting on fire.
Right.
It could be on fire.
And she wouldn't spit on them.
And I can't spit on you because I literally don't have anything to give you.
Yeah.
Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, if we're sitting in the desert and you on fire, what do you want me to do? Yeah. I can't do nothing but pray for you.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I mean by, like, if I'm taken care of, I put myself first. But when it comes to, I don't know, that question kind of just threw me off a little bit because I need, like, what situation are we in? What situation are we talking about? Yeah. Like, what context?
Hey,
what context is it that we're in this situation? Like,
right. Yeah, context matters.
Because naturally, the way that I am, I'm always try to make sure someone else is straight because that's my spirit.
Yeah.
But I also am heavy on taking care of myself, and if I'm lacking or if I'm not up to it, then I'm not gonna do it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So it's with moderation. No, I'm not saying anything is wrong with it. I just feel like I have to explain it because sometimes I feel like people feel like they have to choose between themselves and people.
Right.
And it's like,
this ain't
for me, it's like, that's not, like, it's not that. I take care of myself so that I can help take care of people because that's just my spirit. It's my personality. That's literally something God put in me. So I can't waver from it as much as I want to be like, I don't really care.
You're very selfless. You're selfless as long as you're taken care of.
Yeah.
Right. If you're taken care of, then you have more to give to people, or you have to give to people.
Even when I'm not taken care of, sometimes I'll give until God literally be like, all right,
that's enough.
That's enough.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. It says possibilities.
Excuse me.
Oh, pardon.
Possibilities and potential. If you could choose to live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
I would live in Switzerland. Why?
I'm sorry, real quick. When we first got together, you used to say Africa. Like, you wanted to go to Africa so bad, and now just like in the course of a year,
Africa is a strong 1B. Switzerland is 1A. Africa is 1B. I would live in Switzerland because,
oh my goodness,
it's beautiful. If you haven't seen any pictures of Switzerland or any videos or anything. Content surrounding Switzerland, it's absolutely beautiful. Again, it looks like a utopia. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look real. The grass is super green. The waterfalls are super waterfally. You know what I mean? It's just beautiful. So I will live in Switzerland. What about you?
That's so hard.
No, it's not.
It is though, because I do want to visit Switzerland. I want to be in Switzerland a lot. But I know, babe. I have to narrow it down. So give me a moment. I'm finding it. Okay. Just get it right off the dome, though. I really don't know. I don't know. I have a lot of places that I would want to visit, but I don't have a place to where I would strictly want to live. I know it's most definitely out of the country. I just don't know which country. But whatever has a lot of land, a lot of privacy, that's it.
There you have it.
I don't have a place. I'm gonna think about it and I'll insert it.
She doesn't have a place, so no worries. So that's it for our questions. We're gonna go ahead and get into the pod. So I have a question for you, sweetheart. Two-parter. All right. The first part is, how did you come to gain an understanding of who you were as a woman? Mm-hmm. That's my first question. And the second question is, what are some tips or what can be helpful for others to gain an understanding of who they are, not just women, but people in general?
Yeah. Okay, so first question, how did I, what?
How did you gain an understanding of who you are as a woman? Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, I think it was trial and error, to be honest. Me trying things or doing things a certain way and it wasn't working for me. Like I was raised around a lot of anger, so I had a lot of anger going into my adult years, and that did not produce results at all. I could alter it like at work and being professional. Mm-hmm. I was like in high school and growing up, I saw people do that. Like mm-hmm. be different at home, and then when it comes to them at work, it was a different thing. So I was able to do that really well. But behind closed doors with people that cared about me, anytime something didn't go my way or anytime I just didn't agree with something, the anger came up. Mm-hmm. So that's just one example of one of the things that I worked on that developed me into the woman that I am today. Like it's certain things that like you really have to do something to just irritate myself for me to truly get angry and take myself to that point to where it's like, okay, yeah, she's not playing. Yeah. You know, but even with that, I know how to cater and put it in a way to where it's still not the old Deja. Yeah. Like the old me, I'm screaming, I'm cussing, I'm doing anything to try to hurt you because I feel hurt. Right. Excuse me. So at a young age, I feel like just working on those little bitty things that I've seen, that's like, if I'm angry all the time, that's not going to get me anywhere in this world. Right. Like if I'm mean all the time, that's not going to get me anywhere in this world. So that will answer that part. And then to just answer your second part, what advice or tips would I give to someone that is trying to work on their identity? Mm-hmm. I would say whatever that thing is that you know is the ugly part of you, mm-hmm. to work on it. Yeah, like good. For me, I have a huge mirror reflected on myself. Like that reflection of me in the mirror, it stood out a lot. Like once a time, if I was like angry and I had an outburst, afterwards when I'm alone and I'm sitting by myself, it will hit me heavy. Mm-hmm. Like I could hear like my heart beating, like how fast my heart was beating, how loud it was beating, my temperature. Like God would break it down to me that way so that I could like really see how I was acting. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when I close my eyes, that image will not go away, how I responded. So literally just putting a mirror on yourself and those things that are ugly, work on them. Like
that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's great. I think if you have children, those are like the ultimate mirror. Yeah. Right? Children definitely expose your characteristics and how you respond to certain situations because they respond the same way. Mm-hmm. Right? I think just to give you a little backstory, I mean, when I was younger, I was chubbier as a kid. Yeah, I was chubby. That's actually my childhood nickname is Chubby. Well, for my family. Like my childhood nickname when I was in school was JD. I don't know if I ever told you that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so JD, right? Because my name is John Daniel, so they used to call me JD in elementary school. But anyway, I was chubbier as a younger kid. So being a chubbier kid in school, it's like the worst thing to be.
It's automatic target.
Hey, you're an automatic target, right? That's the worst thing to be. Because it's like, why are you chubby? Why are you fat?
Why are you fat?
At the end of the day. So, you know, in all seriousness, my identity, I don't want to say always. No, I'm going to say always. I was always certain that I was a leader, but I wasn't certain where my leadership should be positioned. So some people say, well, I'm just not a leader. Yeah. Right? You put them in a particular situation and they try to give the excuse that they're just not a leader. And that's not true. Everybody's born a leader. You just are a leader in a specific area. Right? So I had this way about me where I conducted myself in a manner where outside forces didn't have too much influence on me, not more than my own consciousness, right? Like there were things that I knew I shouldn't be doing because like I had some form of identity. I knew I was a leader. Like that was kind of instilled in me. When I was younger, I can remember my mom telling me like, you're a leader, not a follower, right? I can remember my mom telling me that vividly. And that always stuck with me. So when I would be amongst my friends, when I would be amongst the crowds, I would do certain things as a child would do, just to kind of fit in, but there was a line that I wouldn't cross, right? Because I had some sense of identity and I had this understanding that I wasn't necessarily in need of the approval of others because I somewhat had an understanding of who I was, right? Somewhat, not completely, but somewhat. So I think it really flipped for me when I say I graduated high school, not even when I was in high school. I mean, it started to turn up a little bit more when I was in high school. I started to gain a better understanding that I was a positive person. I wasn't really, I wasn't negative at all. I looked on the bright side of things. I had a vision for my life. I still have a vision for my life. I didn't want to just live, right, and go about life aimlessly. I always had a vision. I always saw myself being somebody and doing something with my life. So that really helped a lot. But it was really when I graduated high school that I was able to really express who I was, right? And I really got a grip of my identity because I guess maybe because I wasn't surrounded by so many other kids my age. Yeah. Like I was in the real world, you know what I mean? And there are people from all different ages. And in the real world, and not in the school world, right? You're able to be more of yourself free of judgment because everyone else is kind of being themselves. Not really, but they're kind of being themselves. Yeah. Right? So I was able to express that more as I graduated high school, and it really helped a lot. So now I'm 28. All right, y'all. If y'all don't know by now, listen, I'm 28. He's 28, y'all. At 28 years old, I am fully aware of who I am, what I will do, what I will not do. And really, I know that my identity stems from, being a child of God. That's ultimately what it boils down to. I'm a child of God, and when you read the Word, you get an understanding of who you are based on whose you are.
That was good. You giving that perspective, or it's like, really, that's when it starts. Yeah. From high school to graduating high school, that's really where young folks or just people in general start to actually navigate, okay, who am I? Yeah. Because now you have it's literally no structure, no plan, no waking up at this time, getting on the bus at this time, being in school for sure for this length of time. Is no one technically telling you what to do after you graduate high school. Yep. So anyways, I got a question for you. I love it. At what point did you start to shift your identity from the identity that you were born into? You need me to explain it a little bit? Or you can. Understand? Yeah, you can. Okay, so basically, we're all born into an identity of our family. Okay. So, for example, Noelle sees our identities, which is the structure that we're giving her, good and bad, flaws and all. So it's certain things, for example, that I was born into, drugs, sin, just in general, like in its entirety. Yeah. And that's what I seen, and that's what I identified as for a while because that's what I saw. So at what age or at what point did you start to shift what you were taught, which is a part of your identity, like growing up and you're being raised, that's part of your identity, what your parents pour into you, what your family pours into you, what you see.
Yeah.
So at what point did you start to shift that for yourself personally to like fit your own personal like destiny and identity for who John Daniel is?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm gonna have to say around age 22.
Okay.
Around age 22. And here's why I say age 22. 22 was when I was introduced into the current business that we're in. And this particular business that we're in, it's in the financial services industry, and they have a heavy emphasis on personal development. So when I was age 22, I started to read more. I started to listen to more information that was more beneficial to my thinking and helping me become the person that I really wanted to be. And it was completely different from what I was accustomed to hearing from my family, right? Or friends that I grew up around. It was just different. It's a different way of thinking. So around that age was when I really started to shift my identity, or I would say grow into my true identity, right? Because I don't think I ever changed my identity. I just grew into my true identity. That environment that I was born into and the things that I was taught, that wasn't even me. That wasn't my identity. I just kind of adopted it because that's what I was taught.
Yeah.
Right. But my true identity was always in me. And when I was exposed to certain information or certain things, it just resonated with me.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to further, pursue those things, pursue that information. So yeah, when I turned 22, around 22 was when, it all started to change for me. And I started to shift my thinking, and I started to shift my habits, and I started to change the way I communicated.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. I only asked it like that because when you have kids, it's very important to pour into them what God tells you to pour into them, and for you to truly work on yourself, because they're going to remember that. Like it's plenty of stories that you hear, like when kids are speaking about their parents. Oh, I remember when my mom did this, and I remember when my dad did that.
Yeah.
Like it plays a major role in their identity and who they're going to be, and whether it's going to affect them or whether they're going to have to do damage control when they're older because of the choices that you made. Because part of your identity is a part of theirs.
Absolutely.
Like they literally came from us. So it's literally like a plant. Like what we pour into it, how we nurture it, it all matters and it plays a part because they are part of our legacy.
Absolutely.
So in a sense, everything is like connected. Everything is like it's literally a big old just circle. We're literally a big old circle that keeps evolving. Like, and it even goes deep as like your mom's identity is a part of your identity, who is now a part of Noel's identity and part of my identity. 100%. But it still connects back to like my side of the family, and it's like all connected. But all of those personal identities and who they are shape you for who you are and shape me for who I am. Yeah. Like the good and the bad. So it's like for me, certain parts of my parents' identity, as far as like the not so good, probably like at age 15 is when I started that work. Because I saw that so much had been poured into me in a negative, in a trauma way that I couldn't find myself. Right. I literally had to dig myself from all of the different identities that was poured into me. So that aspect of it, I would say around like 15 until age about 21 of me just doing self-work and me literally tearing out all the identities that was spoken over me or that I seen growing up, to where now as as I would say a healed individual and someone that knows 100% who she is and like what my purpose is and who I identify as and what my identity is, I see also in my parents the good. Like both of my parents have the biggest heart ever. And my mom's side, she's the fighter. So I see that in me. I identify with that. And then my dad, he's a lover. You get what I'm saying? So both part, like the fact that both of them have big hearts is like they express it in two different ways. I have like a double or triple portion of that. I got a triple portion of that. But that's the part that I took. And then there's parts that I leave because what helped them or what they identify as is not beneficial to me. So.
Yeah, that's good. Awesome. So I have a question for you, darling.
Okay, sugar.
So my question for you is, what do you think is the biggest roadblock to people's growth or success as an individual? Like, what's the biggest thing? Roadblock. Yeah, the biggest roadblock. What's the biggest thing that stops people from, getting to that next level, from becoming more, from doing more, from, just transforming their life? What's the biggest thing that stops them? What do you think?
Themselves.
Absolutely, but more specific.
I'm gonna break it down.
Okay.
In every aspect, as far as your belief that you can do it, the fear of change, the worry that you're gonna fail. All of those are self battles. Like you don't want to put in that work. You don't necessarily want to do it because it's not easy. Like I remember literally crying every day as a child, like, God, like, take this out of me. Like, I don't want this in me, fighting myself. And it was so uncomfortable because I'm literally battling myself. But I knew that I wanted it so bad because I didn't like the person that I was. So literally just doing that self-work and knowing that, like, you can do whatever it is that you want to do. Whatever God puts on your heart, you can do it. Like, I'm such a testimony for that. Like, I'm always on here about to cry, but it's because I've been through so much that it's like, I know God is real. Like, the amount of stuff that I've been through, I shouldn't be sitting here today. In my right mind. Like, I shouldn't.
For sure.
And I'm only 27 years old. I've experienced stuff that people in a lifetime will never experience or that can't even imagine to experience what I've been through. And I'm here to say, like, do the work and actually mean it and want it for yourself so that you don't have to look down the road 20 years from now and be like, oh, I'm working on myself, baby. Like, which is like, okay if you're at that age and you're doing that, but it's not okay when God continues to send people in your life and they're speaking the exact same thing to you and you're ignoring those signs because, oh, it's always been done this way, or I don't want to do that, or it's uncomfortable, it's not safe. It's not safe for you to push yourself outside those boundaries or to address issues that hurt you, or for you to just be selfless in the aspect of doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. Like, you can't get the fullness that this world has to offer you, which is God, if you don't do that work. So the biggest hindrance to people when it comes to, reaching their maximal potential or walking into their destiny and stuff like that is literally themselves.
Yeah, that's good. I would agree with that because it's always us, right? That stops us from doing anything that we want to do. But outside of us, because I believe that definitely it needs to be said, but it also can go without saying, right? Because we know that it's us, right? Ultimately, it's us that stops us.
But it's some people that don't believe.
They don't believe that it's them.
Like, it's like, true. To us, because of the people that we are, it's so common sense and it's natural for us to examine ourselves and to say, like, oh, well, like, look, you did say that. Let me check myself real quick.
Whether well, it's in front of you or behind everybody else before they examine themselves.
People.
Like, for sure. For sure.
You get what I'm saying? Like, you literally know people that you see on a day-to-day basis that are like that. They don't want to accept any accountability. They don't, see any wrong in themselves, or even if they do see the wrong, they're not going to admit it. Which that's the issue. Like, it's one thing to know that you're doing wrong, but then to sit up there and just completely ignore it, it's just like, you're setting yourself up for 100% failure.
Yeah.
Like, it may not be doing anything to you right now, but in the long run, you gonna see how that affected you.
Yeah, that's good. I think to answer my own question, just going back, I had asked my bride, what is the biggest roadblock for people getting to that next level in their life, right? Doing more with their life, becoming more, achieving more. I think the biggest roadblock outside of themselves, excuse me, outside of themselves, I would say is caring about what people think. Mm-hmm. And again, that is, that's yourself. Yeah. Right. It all falls under yourself. But caring about
so many different other categories that fall under that.
For sure. But caring about what people think is probably, I mean, that's up there, right? That has to be like the primary thing. Yeah. Because just think about it. If you did not care, and I don't want to say not care about what anybody thinks, okay? Because I don't think anybody's there. You should care about what the right people think, mm-hmm. right? Like your family, your loved ones, right? Your immediate family, your wife, your children. You should care about what those people think, okay? Yeah. Because their opinions matter because they know you. You live with them, mm-hmm. right? Hopefully. But caring about what strangers think, what people on the internet think, like you shouldn't care about what those people think at all. Yeah. Okay. Now I had to overcome that. Mm-hmm. And it didn't take a long time for me to overcome that. It took a long time for me to realize that I needed to overcome that. Yeah. If that makes sense, right?
Once you realize this.
Once I realized that, I'm like, oh, like people don't even think much of themselves. So how are they going to think anything good about me? Yeah. Whatever they think about me, that's not my business, right? That's them. That's their issues. People have their own issues and they reflect it on you by saying things about you that they know aren't true, mm-hmm. but it makes them feel better, right? It validates their lack,
their ego,
by them talking down on you. I'm not about to entertain that foolishness, right? You can say whatever you want to say. You can say whatever you want to say. That's none of my business. Yeah. However, I care an infinite amount what my wife thinks and what my children think about me. Yeah. I care a lot, right? So our words have immense power, all right? The things that we say mm-hmm. to our loved ones, to anybody, they have immense power. Now, who you give that power to or who you allow to place that power on you, right? Mm-hmm. Again, just going back to what I was saying earlier, if you allow a stranger's words to have that much power over you, that you start to alter the way you do things or you start to question yourself, mm-hmm. that's not who you should give the power of words to, right? Their words shouldn't hold no weight in your head. But your loved ones, the people that actually know you, when they say something about you and they analyze you and they give you some advice, right? Some sound counsel, you should take heed to that, mm-hmm. right? And say, well, man, if these people are saying these things, then maybe there is some truth to it because they know me. Yeah. Right. So the whole point of me saying that is this is just going back to identity. If someone doesn't know who they are, then anybody's opinion of them is going to sway their opinion of themselves. Yeah. If somebody calls them a certain name, if somebody says that they operate in a certain manner, they're going to question themselves because they don't know who they are. They're still trying to figure it out. Yeah. So they're still seeking validation. It may not be consciously, but subconsciously they're seeking validation. They're like, this person said I'm selfish. This person said, I don't care about others. Is that true? Right? Do I not care about others? Am I selfish? Right? They're questioning themselves because of what they hear other people say that don't even know them. Mm-hmm. Right? But they question themselves because they don't have that identity.
Just to chime in right there real quick, I feel like sometimes the best push sometimes is hearing those things from strangers. Sometimes your family and the people that you love can tell you things and you may not receive it, but a stranger walk up to you and tell you, hey, the way that you talk is just filthy. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Your family grew up with you. Yeah. So in a way, they're accustomed to your ways. Yeah. They're accustomed to you doing certain things. Mm-hmm. But a stranger that don't know you from a bug on a wall, mm-hmm. They come to you and say, your mouth is filthy. Right. You're going to think more on that than from it coming from somebody that you grew up with.
Excuse me.
And somebody that you was, around your entire life.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel like certain things, like when it comes to that, most definitely you have to use discernment, which is a part of your identity. It's something that God put in every single person to know when you need to take heed to what someone is saying and when you need to let it roll off your back. Because even certain things that family say is not in line with God says, even if they're speaking something that's positive.
Yeah.
Just because someone is speaking something positive doesn't mean that it's aligned with what God has for you or what God wants you to be doing or a part of the identity that God has instilled in you. Like, so you have to use wisdom and discernment when it comes to whether it's the people that you love or, a stranger on the sheet.
On the stranger on the sheets. You know what I'm talking
about? A stranger on the street. Like, you have to, be aware of those things and know it to either be fact or fiction. Right?
Yeah. I think that the best way, let me say this. This is a bold statement. It's not really that bold, it's the truth. I think the only way for somebody to get their true identity is by reading the word of their manufacturer, right? Which is God, the creator, right? The creator of all. When you really read the Bible and you really gain an understanding of what the Bible is actually about and what it's talking about, and knowing that it's telling us who we are, right? And it's giving us different stories and it's giving us different time frames in which certain things happen so that we can learn, right? It tells us in the Bible that the scriptures were given to us so that we can learn and so that we can really analyze, life for what it is, right? And guide ourselves through this life, right? Because we're going to have trials and tribulations, right? But if you get your identity from the word, you get your identity from your manufacturer, then I mean, you're unbreakable at that point, right? Because you know who you are, right? There's nothing nobody can say to you. So with that being said, I mean, I think the scripture says those that compare themselves among themselves are not wise, right? Those that compare themselves among themselves are not wise. And a lot of people, and I've been guilty of it, get stuck in this comparison trap, and we compare ourselves to other people, their success and their situation. And it kind of alters the way we view ourselves because we think we should be where they are, or we think we should have what they have, and that's not a wise thing to do, right? And it's easy to fall into that trap because of social media, right? Social media has made everybody look like they're popping, right? Has made everybody look like they're happy. Everybody look like they got the bag, right? And in reality, that ain't the truth, right? People put on a facade. Okay, it's everything that you see is not the truth, right? Actually, what you see in so-called reality is not actually reality. Reality is the things that we can't see, right? Again, the scripture tells us that all things came from the unseen, right? All things seen came from the unseen, right? So the unseen is the real reality. What we see is just a manifestation of that reality. So with that being said, did you have something else to say, sweetheart? I can keep going.
Not really. Just, find out your identity. The sooner you find out, the quicker you'll realize that you'll be happy. You'll flow in peace. You'll flow in your divine purpose. Like, everything is aligned with you figuring out who you are and what your identity is. Like, you can't do anything kingdom wise, purpose wise, anything that God says or has said to you, promised to you, the vision that you have for your life until you truly understand your identity and walk in it and be unapologetic about it. Like, I'm the type of person that walks in it 100%. Some people I come off as the boldest and bravest thing in the world. But with that, I also at one point was the quietest person, the one that didn't say much, the one that didn't know who she is. So finding yourself, pushing yourself, taking heed to words. Some words are not everything someone has to say about you is negative. Like some things is just God sending a different messenger to try to get his point across another way. You know, there's different aspects that God uses to get your attention. For some people, it's a post popping up on your timeline to that you need it. Like the same way a post pop up and you're like, dang, I really needed that word. It's the same way a post can pop up to tell you you need to get yourself together. You need to stop sitting on your butt. You need to do your self work. Well, we are the little voices that's popping up on your timeline, that's popping up on your feed, that's telling you it's Monday, it's time to watch this podcast, to tell you find out what your identity is, and I promise you, you will be so grateful that you started that work. It's not a process that's overnight. It's a process that takes consistency. But when you finally wake up one day and you're just like, I know who I am, and I know that I'm healed enough to walk in it and be a light for other people. So
yeah. So I want to leave off with this.
Leaving off with something else.
Yeah, that last one wasn't a left off.
Okay.
This is what I want to leave off with. So you got your lie identity, you got your my identity, and then you got your identity. Okay, so I want to break those down. So the lie identity is what the world tells you that you are, right? Which is what a lot of people are living in. They're living in a lie identity, right? The world says that they are this, right? The world tells them they're great. They start to believe their own presence, and they become arrogant, right? And they think they're just so special because that's what the world tells them. Okay, their consciousness can't even bear witness to that, but that's what the world tells them. So they start to perform or act in that way. That's your lie identity. Then you have your my identity. Your my identity is what you believe about yourself, right? Which can be good, it can be bad. But what you believe about yourself isn't necessarily the full truth. Mm-hmm. Okay? We all have a my identity. Okay? And it's okay to have it just as long as you don't accept that as the whole truth. Right? The truth is, and this is the last one, it's your identity. And your identity comes from the word, right? Your identity comes from God. God is your creator. God is the one that formed you and fashioned you and gave you your own specific gift, right? And created you in a way to where billions and trillions of people have been born and there has never been a you, right? You are uniquely designed.
Your DNA is literally structured just for you.
Just for you, right? You're uniquely designed. There's never been a creation like you. So that being said, God is the one that you should turn to really get your identity and gain an understanding of who you are based on whose you are. And then you can step into your purpose and you can serve your gift to the world. All right. So that's all we have for y'all. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all listening. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that YouTube-y stuff that we do or that y'all do.